Welcome back to my workshop. Now today I've got to make a personalised gift for someone's special 60th birthday, and so far I've decided I'm going to make a wine bottle holder with some glasses. Now the material I've got to play with is a bit of an old door from this video and a couple of drawer fronts. That's what I've got to play with, so let's come up with a design. That's the plan. Let's start cutting some wood. Okay, so I'm going to try and get the base and the top both out of this one piece of wood. Now, obviously I'm limited by the width, so what I've done is I've found the width of this and marked off a square with my square. Found the middle of that and I've drawn a circle in the middle, the size of the bottle of wine. Okay, now I've done it a little bit bigger so you can put different bottles of wine in afterwards. Okay, so that's a little circle. That's the base. I'm probably going to turn that on the lathe, so we'll get back to that in a minute. Right, the top. Now what I've done is I've found the center of this section, put a little dot in the middle so I know where the middle is. Again, I need the circle the same size, so that'll be in the middle. But what I want to do to make sure I get the curves correct, what I'm going to do is I've made a template, or I'm going to make a template. Sheet of A4 paper, I've drawn my circle in the middle. Then what I've done is I've folded it into quarters, okay? And then I've marked my circle in the middle, a small circle for where the wine glasses go, and then the shape of the yoke. So let me quickly cut this out and you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I cut out my shape here, and that should give me my yoke shape. Now I haven't cut the middle out yet because I still need to reference the middle. Okay, so that's going to go on there at the center point. Okay, and what I'll do now is I'll draw around that and then cut that out on the bandsaw, I think. Right, so before I cut out my yoke on the bandsaw, I think what I better do is I want to do some engraving. So around the edge here of the yoke, I want to have some words that say happy birthday, like that. So I'm going to do that on the CNC machine because that'll make it a lot easier. Right, so while that's engraving on the CNC machine, I'm going to get the base onto the lathe and turn it into a circle and then do a bit of a recess for the bottle. Right, I was hoping to have the side pieces, let me show you, these pieces, I was hoping to have those quite wide, but because of the size of this, I've now got to have those a little bit narrower. Anyway, so I'm going to cut down my drawer fronts, trim the ends off, and then cut it into strips to match the base. Right, so let's have a quick catch up because I've been racing ahead. Right, we have our bottom turned. This bit in the middle is to sit in here. Excellent. Okay, I've got two sides here which I'm going to do something with now. I'll show you that in a minute. And the top here, what I've done is I've marked it all out. I've cut off the outside edges like this, cut off the ends, cut the middle out with the scroll saw. So I end up with this. I've now got the engraving around the top and the two holes for the glasses, which are not finished yet. I've got to sand it all down. Got to do some grooves along here and along here. That's the next bit. But first, the side. Okay, so my two sides, which are these uprights here, what I would like to do is have a scallop in the middle. Now, I obviously haven't got a router bit that size. If you've seen my previous video of the radiator cover, you saw I used the table saw to actually do quite a wide groove. Now, I've set my table saw up again to do the same sort of thing, but this time a little bit better. Last time I was using clamps, which were a bit ropey. So let me show you what I've done now. Okay, so what I've done now is I've set up these two guide rails on my table saw, and I basically used flat-headed bolt in the grooves of the table saw. Now these are then bolted down, so these are proper solid. There's a small mark on the middle of my table saw here that shows the centre of the blade, and so I've got these equidistant away from that. Now the idea is I put my piece of wood, which is going to be my sides, in here, raise the blade slightly and then move this along, and it should cut a groove out of here. That's the plan. This is quite solid, so we'll see how that goes. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so they worked relatively well. I've ended up with a piece of wood with a scallop on both sides. Now this is my test piece, and I think I went too far. I've gone past the edge here, so I need to do it slightly shallower. But that's the effect I want. So that's my test piece. I can throw that away, and I can now do my proper pieces. A couple of tips if you're going to do this. One, be very careful. Two, make sure you turn on your extractor, because it makes so much mess. So make sure you've got some extraction going on, and also make sure that it's dead in the middle of the blade, because if it's not, you end up with it off center, which is what mine is. I've set it slightly wrong, but I cope with that by going through once, then turning it around and going through the other way. I'll get on with those other two and get back to you after I've finished. Okay, that's my two sides done like this. Need quite a bit of sanding, but they're done. I might do a waste on these. Don't know yet. I'm making it up as I go along. Let's get on to the top. Start doing something with that. Okay, so my next step is the top is a little bit too thick. This is about 30 mil at the moment, and I probably want it down to about 25 mil. So I'm going to do that on the planer thicknesser here. Now I've got the planer thicknesser working. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so what I want to do now is try and get my two sides, these are my sides, mounted on here somewhere. Obviously, I could easily get these tipped, so what I want to do is try and get these equally away from the middle of the circle there. Okay, but obviously it's a bit difficult because there's a recess here. So I think the easiest way for me to do it is if I put something in here, like a bigger bottle of drink. Obviously this doesn't sit all the way to the bottom, but at least it's round. Okay, then I can put these two here, and then I can draw around these with the pencil, and then what I can do is recess those, so then these side pieces actually sit inside the base, and then I can do the same on the top. Okay, so I'll start marking these out and then start recessing them with a router. Okay, so I decided to quickly do these. Instead of using a router, I decided to use a chisel. I might have to go a little bit deeper yet, but that will do for a start. Right, what I want to do now is around the edge here, I've got a step. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do that on the router table. I'm going to use a flush trim bit and just go around the edge. So let's get on with that. Okay, for my side pieces, my side uprights, what I want is basically some sort of scallop out the sides here to give it a sort of an hourglass type of shape. So what I've done is I found half the distance between this side and this side, put a little mark, and then measured about 30mm from the centre point along and about 15mm down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this bit out with the bandsaw, and then I'm probably going to run the rest of it on the sander to get a rounder shape. So let me get on with that and I'll show you what I'm doing. Right, so that's given us an equal curve on either side. Might have to give that another little bit of sand, obviously, but yeah, that's the shape I wanted. Let's do the other one. Right, so it's time for the glue up now. Originally I was going to put a dowel in the bottom and the top of this, but because I've done this thing, there's not quite enough room. So what I've done on the base, I've drawn a couple of little pilot holes on both sides. I shall glue it together and then come through the bottom with a securing screw, and on the top I'll rely just on the glue. This looks like a really massive bottle of glue, doesn't it? It's massive, look. Actually it's not. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one to dry now. I'll probably leave it overnight and do it again tomorrow. But in the meantime, look, our next project's turned up. Let me show you. It's here. Look at this. It's a Singer sewing machine. Now, we're interested in the metal frame. But yeah, it's a complete sewing machine. Look at that. But we're not interested in the sewing machine. We need the frame. I'm going to be doing something with that. But that'll be another video. Right, let's let that dry. Okay, so it didn't fall apart, which is a good thing. So it's all stuck together. I've now drilled and countersunk and put 4 screws in the bottom like this. I've also cut my little recess where my token's going to go after I've finished sanding. Now I've got to do sanding now. I've already sanded it once. I've now got to put a coat of shellac or sanding sealer on it. And this is the stuff I'm going to use. I'm going to use that. So I'll give it a coat of that, let that dry, sand it off. And then I've got to fill in the letters. All these letters here, I'm going to try and do them in black. All right, so sanding, sealer, sanding, sealer, sanding, sealer, sanding, sealer. Okay, so finally it's finished. It's under here, and here it is. I'm quite pleased with it, I must admit. I'd like there to have been a bit more contrast between this hardwood and the side panels here, but that's okay, it's fine. There's some text on the top which says Happy Birthday Joe, so Happy Birthday Joe, it's your 60th. Yeah, we've done lots of things in this project. It's all come out very nice. It's got me little logo in the bottom there. Maybe I should put some feet on this. I'll think about that in a minute. Right, and to see what it looks like with a bottle of wine in it. There's a bottle of wine and 2 glasses. There you go. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Yeah, it was quite an involved project. It doesn't look like much, but obviously we did some wood turning, we did some CNC work, we did some table saw stuff, bandsaw stuff, sander stuff. All these things just, yeah, they're dangerous. So be careful if you ever do anything like this. This could have all been done by hand, but the hand sanding was enough on its own. So yeah, right. So this is for Joe. Happy birthday, Joe. And I'll see you lot in the next video. Bye. Yeah, it doesn't fit. So you'd never be able to get it out. Right. Okay, so what do we want? What do we want? Bottom's all nice and yeah. Okay, so I'm